I'm assuming you are not a multi-millionaire. I'm assuming you don't have thousands and maybe tens of thousands of dollars to spend on coaching and a pro demo. Assuming that's correct, then you probably don't want to start your career with a pro demo that you're just going to outgrow. So how on earth did I get work without a pro demo? Well, it turns out you can actually make them. And making them can be more difficult for some genres and easier for others. If we're talking about, for example, audiobook narrations or e-learning, audio guides, these are pretty straightforward. You can either do them without any sound effects or music, or you can just put a very low volume music track in the background that kind of fits the mood, shall we say. The problem with making a good DIY commercial or corporate demo is that the music and potential sound effects are typically louder. And what you're going to have to develop is the ability to mix your voiceover with louder music, which is technically more difficult to do. And if you don't have good listening tools like very high-end mixing headphones or for example, speakers in a good room, it's going to be hard for you to properly make something that will translate to multiple devices. Let's keep it simple. You want to do audiobooks or you want to do e-learning or audio guides. How do we get sample material that we can use? There are lots of sample libraries out there, and they can provide some decent and maybe not so good scripts. In my opinion, the best thing you can do is register to a website like voices.com, Voice123, Bodalgo, and they will give you audition opportunities. These auditions, the scripts from these auditions, you can turn it into a sample. You can put some music in the background or no music if you want. Even better, if that audition has been shortlisted, then you've got an extra indication that that audition was good. Maybe it didn't book the job. It doesn't mean it's bad. If you don't book an audition, it doesn't mean that what you recorded was bad. It just means that the client was not looking for you. So you can take those samples, as I said, turn them into demos, turn them into samples. And what will happen over time is as you audition more, or maybe you get some work as well, you can take those and turn those into demos and samples as well. And what you'll develop over time is a library of auditions and samples and demos that you can use to send to clients. And that's how you get started, because I'm assuming you don't have thousands and thousands of dollars on a pro demo. And even if you did have that money, there's a good chance that you're probably not ready for it. Let's say you make your first DIY demos, but you want to get better. You want to do more demos, you want them to be higher in production quality, or maybe you'd like to eventually offer services that you can sell to, for example, your friends or just anyone in general. Well, if you want to do that, you really need to develop post-production skills. And it would really help if you send your demos over to people who know better and get feedback. This could be an audio engineer, it could be a coach potentially. Just to give you an example, my commercial demo, if you go on my website and listen to it, that is completely DIY. I made all of it myself. But it would be silly to say that I just recorded for an hour and then just put some music and boom, Bob's your uncle. It was done. No, it was not like that. That required a lot of iteration, a lot of work over time, to the point that I actually sent my commercial demo over to 2 casting directors that I was speaking to at the time, and they were convinced that the first one, the kayak one, was actually part of they thought they'd heard it on the radio or TV or something like that. I'm actually going to play that to you because I'm quite proud of this one. Planning your next holiday is exciting. That is, until you actually have to book it. Thankfully, Kayak makes everything simple. Flights, hotels, it's all there. Now you can focus on something that actually should be hard, like nosediving. Kayak, making those holidays actually happen. This quality doesn't come overnight. It requires practice, it requires iteration, and it requires experience. And it really helps that, yes, you can make your own demos. It helps if you get feedback from someone. So it could either be a coach, or it could be just, it could even be your friend. Get somebody else's opinion on it, and that can help you understand what you sound like to other people. because you don't necessarily need to sound good for yourself, though of course it helps. What's most important, especially in selling your own services as a voiceover artist, you need to sound good to others, and ideally you need to sound good to the right people so that you get jobs. Just to make things clear, this kayak sample, that was I think the third or fourth iteration of it. I had made a kayak demo many times actually, and it was only once I got to the point where my production skills were good enough that I was able to deliver something that was basically able to trick or make other people think that they'd actually heard it on the radio, which, if people think that that is a real production, that's the gold standard right there. A commercial demo should really convince people that that was on TV or it was on the radio, and that's the ultimate objective. So with good production skills and practice, iteration, and experience, you can make very high quality DIY demos, but it takes time. And if you're not interested in doing any kind of post-production, I understand some people just want to be voice actors, you're going to need to pay someone to do that for you. But especially for things like narrations, audio guides, audio books, even just a narration with a bit of music in the background is completely passable as a sample or a demo. You can do that, and who knows, maybe you'll get some work from it.